Imagine the dusty roads of ancient India, where the first game of Chaturanga challenged minds of nobles and scholars. Picture a battlefield, abstracted onto what looks like a chessboard, 64 squares, each a piece, a representation of military units of the time. Infantry, cavalry, elephants, chariots, each move a calculation, a risk, a potential victory or defeat. Today's lesson is in the key historical milestones in wargaming and tabletop exercising. This is a really fascinating journey, and we're going to explore how those strategic simulations evolved over time. Wargaming is a practice that began centuries ago and has been shaped by a few different moving pieces of military strategies, educational needs, entertainment, and just the culture around what was going on at the time. We're going to break it down into three distinct eras. Era 1, the birth and military adoption. Era 2, the expansion into the civilian world. And Era 3, the renaissance of tabletop gaming and the information age. Era 1, the birth. Going back to India, somewhere around the 7th century, it quickly spread across Asia and then later to Europe, becoming a tool for teaching war strategies and tactics without the casualties of conflict. It was an abstract representation of the battlefield, and different pieces symbolised different military units. It required players to think several moves ahead, consider the opponent's responses, and command their army effectively. It emphasised foresight, planning, adaptability, and it mirrored the essentials of military strategy at the time. As Chaturanga reached the Persian Empire, it changed. Its pieces underwent transformations. The vizier was transformed into the queen. The elephant became the bishop. The rook, previously a chariot, kept its name but adopted a new appearance. By the time it reached European shores, the game had acquired new dimensions, both in play and in purpose. Half a world away, another strategic game took root in ancient China, possibly even earlier than Chaturanga. Go, which is a game centred around territory control, required players to balance aggression with consolidation, mirroring the delicate dance of warfare and diplomacy. Black and white stones placed on intersections of a grid represent not just the clash of armies, but the struggle for influence, survival, territory. Both chess and Go laid the groundwork for the development of contemporary wargaming and tabletop exercising. They abstracted the real world into manageable, thought-provoking exercises. They taught the importance of strategy, resource allocation, anticipating your adversary's moves, principles that still remain at the heart of strategy games today. In the late 18th century in Germany, chess started being modified by people. It was expanded to. New pieces started to get added to it. It became larger. Different boards were starting to be played. The young Prussian officer saw beyond the traditional skills and exercises. He envisioned a system where theoretical knowledge and practical command could merge onto the tabletop and simulate things like the fog of war, the chaos of battle, the weight of command decisions. With meticulous care, he crafted a game that used detailed maps, realistic scaled models, a set of rules that attempted to mirror the unpredictability of real combat. This game was called Kriegsspiel. The Prussian military recognised the potential of Kriegsspiel and adopted it as a formal training tool. It becomes the precursor to modern wargaming, influencing military training, strategic planning for centuries. Von Reiswitz's creation was not just a game, it was a new way of thinking about war, a method that allowed commanders to explore consequences, decisions, replay battles without the irreversible cost of lives. It was revolutionary. For the first time, officers could engage in real battles where no blood was shed. Von Reiswitz's Kriegsspiel offered a sandbox for strategy where victories and defeats were dissected and the art of command was honed. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, various versions of military war games were developed across Europe and America, each refining rules, incorporating new technologies and advancements as they came, like railways and telegraphs. By World War I and II, wargaming had become integral to military planning and strategy. Era 2, the expansion into the civilian world. In a think tank sponsored by the US Air Force, conversations were starting to be had. In the shadow of World War II, a new era dawned, a period defined by the chilling potential of global destruction through nuclear warfare. The invention of nuclear weapons and the onset of the Cold War ushered in a stark realisation for military strategy. Current strategies and the current war games were really not equipped to simulate or understand the implications of nuclear exchanges. It was a departure from the battlefield simulations of the past. This was about survival in the nuclear age. The RAND organisation made policy games that were designed to explore the uncharted territory of global conflict and nuclear exchanges, focusing on high-stakes diplomatic negotiations and conflict outcomes. Simultaneously, the complex international relations and the threat of nuclear war during the Cold War era found its reflection in the public sphere through board games. Created in the 1950s and later, diplomacy and games like Risk allowed players to navigate the intricate dance of alliances, betrayals, territorial conquest. Through these games, the broader public started to engage with the concept of strategy, negotiation, and the cold calculus of territorial control. It was a period of paradox, during which the gravest of threats fostered innovation in strategic thought and brought the dance of diplomacy to the living rooms around the world. Era 3, the renaissance of tabletop gaming into the informational age. The digital revolution marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of wargaming, altering its landscape. The advent of computers, digital technology, the limitations that once constrained the complexity and scope of wargames was shattered. The technological leap enabled the creation of really sophisticated digital wargames and models that could simulate hugely multifaceted nature of modern warfare in unprecedented detail and accuracy. Development started on state-of-the-art digital wargames designed to simulate contemporary warfare scenarios. They offered dynamic and interactive platforms for training military personnel in a strategic, controlled, risk-free environment. Yet the digital revolution of wargaming brought with it certain limitations. That very complexity that allowed digital wargames to simulate detailed scenarios also made them much more expensive, much less generalizable and flexible, and they couldn't quite adequately simulate the dynamic, complex situations of diplomacy. The intricate interfaces and steep learning curves created a barrier to entry for those without specific technical or military knowledge. Furthermore, solitary nature of many digital wargames diminished the communal aspect of gaming, reducing opportunities for face-to-face teamwork, interaction, collaboration, and learning. Amid these challenges, a parallel renaissance was taking shape. The 21st century witnessed a massive resurgence in the interest of tabletop gaming, driven by a desire for tangible social gaming experiences that digital platforms struggle to replicate in some ways. Classic role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons, battle map tactical games like Warhammer, and classic board games like Pandemic captured the imagination of players, offering complex strategic challenges that mirrored contemporary global issues and catered to creative dynamic scenarios. Tabletop game hobbyists saw the skills that you learn and the potential in tabletop gaming for applications in tabletop exercising, and a swing back towards the good old pen and paper game design was on. The technological simulations now aid some game mechanics under the hood, but tabletop exercising remains in the social layer, and aside from particular applications, largely non-digital. The blending of gaming culture as a hobby and strategic application goes back to the start of this story. It is that interaction that brought you here to learn more. Today, wargaming and tabletop exercises serve a dual purpose. They are both tools for strategic training and popular forms of entertainment. They encourage critical thinking, teamwork, and the understanding of complex systems, from warfare to pandemic response strategies to business opportunities. Tabletop exercises have a rich history, from military training tools through to popular entertainment. The evolution of tabletop exercises is reflected in the things that changed around them, from the technology and the nature of conflict itself, all the way from chariots and knights to gunfire, nuclear war, and now cyber conflicts and space, as well as how society thinks about those things and strategies in how to adopt them. As we move forward, the landscape of tabletop exercising and wargaming continues to evolve. It's shaped by those things, the technological advances, the cultural interests, the shifts in these things at the social layer. Tabletop exercising and wargaming remains a vibrant testament to the things that humans are interested in, what's going on around them at the time, and a fascination with competition and the art of strategy. Thanks for watching. These lessons will be dropping weekly on YouTube, but if you want to get them all right now, you can take the foundation course for free on our website, where you will also get the lesson notes, summaries, assignments, checklists that guide you through all the learning objectives we've covered. At the end of that course, you'll also get a certificate of completion and an invite to our directory and community, where you can meet some other game masters and use the Long Game Project as a platform to showcase your work. If you want to take your game mastery further, completion of this course is a prerequisite to unlock the advanced professional course, along with the Game Master track, where we dive deeper into the content and further along the skill tree. You can also check out some of our other free tools in the description below, including our tabletop exercise starter kit, our scenario generator, the trove of existing scenarios, our SOP checklist library, and our new RPG character sheet, CV, and LinkedIn template, which is really cool. I did mine this morning, and now all my network knows that my dump stat is probably Dex, and I'm definitely neutral good. Roll on!